ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सत्प्रत्ययाः किन्नु विहाय सन्तम् हृद्येशचिन्तारहितो हृदाख्यः कथं स्मरामस्तममेयमेकम् तस्य स्मृतिस्तत्र दृढैव निष्ठा मृत्युञ्जयं मृत्युभियाश्रितानाम् अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः सर्वैर्निदानं जगतोऽहमश्च वाच्यः प्रभुः कश्चिदपारशक्तिः चित्रेऽत्र च विलोकिता च पटः प्रकाशोऽप्यभवत् स एकः आरभ्यते जीवजगत्परात्म तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् इदं त्रयं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् सर्वोत्तमाहं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा सत्यं मृषा वाचिदिदं जडं वा दुःखं सुखं वेति मुधा विवादः अदृष्टलोकानिरहं प्रतीतिः निष्ठा विकल्पा परमाखिलेष्टा स्वरूपबुद्धिर्जगतीश्वरे च स्वरूपधीरात्मनि यावदस्ति अरूप आत्मा यदि कः प्रपश्येत् सा दृष्टिरेका नवधिर्हि पूर्णा यत्पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहम् यत्पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहम् तदन्तरा किं भुवनं च कास्ति तदन्तरा किं भुवनं च कास्ति देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु. Now, we saw yesterday, what did we see? This particular verse. We saw a little bit yesterday, the first line. Deham is used in the neuter sense, although it is masculine. There is a rare usage of deham, dehe, dehani, like phalam, phale, phalani. So that is how it is used in the neuter sense. Usually the word deha, as I mentioned, is masculine, but here the neuter usage is preferred and it's got more or less the same meaning. Deham means that which is molded, crafted. And so here the neuter meaning is to be able to better distance from it. Otherwise, the body is as good as I. That is the problem. And so, in a way, there is no he, she. It is the body is it. The body is it. So, what is this deha? Panchakoshatmakam deham. Panchakoshatmakam means this body is a place full of misidentifications. The body here is not just the physical body as we saw yesterday. It has to do with a subtle body in the sense of the mind, the senses, ahankara, chittam, feelings, buddhi, intellect, all that. And prana and all the other, if I can use the word, pranic functions of various kinds. The respiration, excretion, circulation, etc., etc., etc. So all this constitutes the body, and so it is panchakoshatmaka. And what is the reason to say panchakoshatmaka? Because there are certain landmines in the form of traps, which causes body mind sense complex identification. So this body is non-separate from the identifications into which it has fallen. That is this is the artha here. Okay. And so this body is basically, in other words, this body mind sense complex, along with the prana, the vital airs and all these things, and the other functions. This is an entity that is a by birth. It's a subjective entity. Why? Birth itself is because of Atma Ajnanam. And Atma Ajnanam projects in the way of, talking about oneself as a subjective, subjective ideas, notions, etc. In fact, anything that you see is subjective. Anything that you take in, subjective. So, in the Panchadashi, a highly celebrated work on Vedanta, in the Panchadashi, we have a very nice section, a chapter on Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. What is Ishvara's creation? And then, what is Jiva's creation? Jiva's creation is zero, really. So, what is Jiva's creation? Manipulating Ishvara's creation through one's own pains, sorrows, fears, desires. This is Jiva's creation. This is what the Panchadashikara, the author, Swami Vidyaranya, talks at length about. And he gives some very interesting scenarios in ancient examples. One such example, to all this to illustrate this subjectivity that seems to be part and parcel of this Panchakoshatmaka body. Kosha is a locus of error, as we said. So there is an erroneous perception of the body as I, erroneous perception of the mind as I. And so all the places where the I is misidentified is called Panchakoshatmakam Deha. So that is where the thing is. And so, this being the case, subjectivity abides at every corner. It is lurking and very, very difficult to come out of it without what? Without Atmajnanam. That's what. And so, therefore, the Panchadashikara gives a very interesting example about, which otherwise doesn't make sense. It's an ancient example. And what is the example? There are two families whose sons have gone abroad. Abroad doesn't mean crossing the oceans. Abroad means they are in the village, and the abroad means gone to a town to study, to work. Somewhere they have gone to earn their livelihood. And of course, the parents are very proud of them. Oh, my son is doing this. Oh, your son is also doing this. Wonderful. And letters are hard to come by. And of course, this is the age of no such devices, no SMS, no email, no telephone, no cell phone. And to get word of the fact that somebody is alive, you just have to wait for a visitor to bring in some tidings and to bring in a letter or to bring in a gift that somebody has sent. And then suddenly, bad news comes for one of the families. Let us call them family A. And what is the news? The son has perished in some kind of a terrible, horrible accident. And the parents are, they cannot be consoled at all. The parents just cannot be consoled. They are so upset and they are just beside themselves. And the other family, they are friends, neighbors and friends. They come and they say, this is terrible. He was like our son too. And but life must go on. You must eat. And the Gita says you must eat, you must drink, you must find some meaning and purpose despite this hard, blow to you. And they start quoting verses from the Bhagavad Gita. वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं ययेनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम्. Know this son of yours to be indestructible and not subject to anything, any kind of destruction at all. And he is okay. And you may not feel this right now, but he is all right. And this is how they console the other family. Then another person brings in it turns out that even in those days they had fake news and so it turned out to be fake news. Actually, who had died? The family B, their son had died. And some gossip monger who did not know the facts just spread some wrong bad tidings, and then this family was distraught. And then when the news came, then what? The other family said, we are distraught, we are destroyed. And then the first family was saying, just now you were quoting the Gita, you please take heart. And this is what it is. So it is so arbitrary, very, very interesting and extremely arbitrary. And because that son had perished 1 month ago. Okay? And 1 month ago, what was this family doing? And the Panchadashikara says, being normal, eating, drinking, going to homas, going to parties, going to whatever it was, going about their lives. It was only when the tidings were brought that the feeling that I am bereft of the son started to agonize the heart. So the objective fact, the sad situation of the perishing of the son and the subjective fact that I am destroyed have almost no connection with one another. Objective fact, Ishvara Srishti, and then the subjective response, Jiva Srishti. So here, this is where we are going in the text, as we will see. For he's trying to make 2 points. First point is to understand that everything is a subjective, impression, subjective response, and until one has Vedanta, one will continue to see the world through the fault lines of one's own raga, dvesha, fears, tears, pains, sorrows, all kinds of things. This is the first thing that he's trying to do in these verses. Then the next thing he's trying to do is also at the same time to say that perception itself is dependent upon that self-conscious awareness which is you, and without the presence of the self-conscious awareness which is you, no perception can take place. These are the 2 things that he's going to do, and he's going to sum up these 2 themes in the next 2-3 verses, and then we'll start a new subtopic. So yat panchakoshatmakam asti deham. So this subjective body, which is full of all kinds of impressions about itself and the Ishvara and the world, as we saw earlier, tadantara. Antara here must be read as antarena. Antarena means without. Tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Can the world make an appearance without the body, mind, sense complex? This is where we are now swimming in Buddhist waters. Why? Because here is where we can bring this kovan. What is the kovan? If a redwood tree falls in the forest and no one is there, will it make a sound? And well, how to answer this question? We can say yes. Of course, the laws of physics state that if something falls from this kind of a height and with this kind of a velocity and this kind of a mass and weight, it will create this kind of a sound. So, laws of physics. But then, if you come to Vedanta, we will ask the question, is sound a sound without, is it sound to say that sound is a sound without a pair of ears? Is that a sound argument? If there are no ears, can you call it a sound? So, therefore, the dependency on the pair of ears to cognize the sound as sound. Oh, that's a car. Oh, that's a child laughing or crying. Oh, that's somebody talking. That's the humming of the ceiling fan. These are all sounds. But only when they are cognized are they brought to light. And that light in which they shine is the borrowed light of consciousness. That light of consciousness, which is I, cognizes the sound. And at the same time, I cognize myself as the hearer of the sound. I'm aware of the sound and I'm aware that I have heard the sound. You see here, the subject object is what is the subject? What is the object? From the standpoint of that witness consciousness, both are the same. There is no subject that shines separately. There is no object. Of course, the object cannot shine separately at all. And so here, from the standpoint of that witness consciousness, whenever there is something to witness, it gets into the status of the witness consciousness. It witnesses itself as the hearer and it witnesses the sound as something that is heard. And then what? Supposing there is no sound, do I cease to exist? Hmm? No. Thank God. Otherwise, the whole world is already a cacophony. But otherwise, you'll have to keep on making sounds even in sleep before the fear that there will be no existence. If there is no sound, when the hearer dies away, meaning when there is no place for the hearer to come out and play. In other words, when there is nothing to hear, in other words, when there is silence, does the I exist or not? Yes? I am conscious of the sound. When there is sound, I am the one conscious of silence. Silence itself is becoming an object of this awareness. Through the pramana called anupalabdhi here, there is no sound when? Right now. Where? Right here. Very, very fascinating. And so the sound and the hearer, they have this revealed sambandha connection. The revealer revealed connection is there, so to speak. But really speaking, from that standpoint of the witness consciousness, sound is consciousness. Sound consciousness is the same thing as sound is. Sound is, sound consciousness is. Silence is, silence consciousness is. Witness is, witness consciousness is. But then do we go in this infinite regress? Is there a witness of the witness of the witness of the witness of the witness? No need. Because that witness happens to be self-effulgent and happen to be you. And so that witness alone is, and when there is nothing to witness, that consciousness alone is. And that is, whatever is we are calling is really I alone. And this is what is alerted here. This without this panchakoshatmakam deham, without this intricate body mind sense complex, crafted by the five elements, both subtle and gross. The subtle five elements go to make up the sense organs, the mind, etc. And the gross five elements, the organs, the body, so many, things. The body, mind, sense complex is a product of the five elements and is subject to being mistaken for all finite things to be the I. And so for this body, the whole world is there. The whole universe is in front of you. But it doesn't shine unless you turn on the switch, meaning you are awake and you are interacting with you. Turn on the switch called the ears, meaning the mind is behind the ears. If the mind is behind the ears, then the words that I am talking are heard, are understood. If the mind is not behind the ears, if you are sitting there but thinking of something else, I may continue to talk, but you will not even hear it. So you turn on the hearing. You turn on the hearing means the hearing takes place, but you are there backing the ears and sound is heard. Sight is seen. And likewise, with all the sense objects and sense organs, there is activity, there is vyapara, transactions are there. And then what? Then, supposing this body mind complex is not there, then what do we have? If it were not alive, what do we have? We have a dead body. Can the dead body cognize sound? No. The dead body has ears. Ears you see on the dead body, but it is unable to cognize sound. Unable to cognize sound. And then, a dead body has eyes, unable to see. That's how, those are the signs of death. You go like this, no sound, nothing, no sign, and you go like this. And now with medical technology, they shine the light in the pupil, and there is no, refraction of the pupils, and they say, okay, the person is not alive. And so, like this, there is, the body which is alive, which is blessed by consciousness, alone can enjoy this universe. And in the process of enjoying this universe, names the universe, names everything. We can't leave anything unnamed. Not just in America, in India also. What is that? Some grinding stone. In the ancient times, they used to have grinding stone for making dosa and idli batter and all these things. That also they would name. Even a stone they don't leave, they name. And you have a house, you name the house. And you name everything possible. That is all this vyapara, indriya vyapara, by which everything unseen, unknown is brought to light. That is the power of this consciousness. This awareness, which is called I, has the power to bring to light everything, and it itself shines because it is self shining. The self shining I shines, and then it is self evident, and everything in the universe, if it is there, if it exists, it is knowable. And if it is knowable, there is some pair of eyes or ears waiting to cognize it, waiting to name it, waiting to write an article about it, waiting to objectify it. So without that, kim bhuvanam chakasti, can the world exist without being being cognized, without being objectified? Can the world exist? This seems like some kind of a abstract question. And some people don't like where we are going already, generally speaking. Why? Because it seems like too relativistic. I wake up and then the world wakes up. He's going to say that in the next verse, okay? Yeah. I wake up. Maybe not the next one, but the next after the next. So I wake up along with the world. And then what? I go to sleep. And then there is no world for me. But then, isn't there an objective world that continues? When I sleep, there must be something that continues. And that itself is there. Yeah, it is there. It continues. What is that? Ishvara Srishti continues. And what stops? Jiva Srishti stops as soon as you close your eyes and go to sleep. But then the two are so intertwined that without the individual cognizing the world, can the world have an existence? And the safe answer is no. That is what we have to answer. The safe answer is no. Because if it is not cognized, it's as good as non-existent. And that is what meaning it is as good as non-existence means it is mithya. Mithya relies on satyam to be cognized. That satyam is you. That satyam is you. And in your presence, mithya shines, dons various costumes of names and forms. And very soon you have a big ball. Cha cha cha. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. You have various dances. And everybody twirling and doing various different kinds of dances. Sometimes it is fast, polka, sometimes it is slow, sometimes it is, just moving to a certain rhythm. All these things are there. All just set in motion because of you. That's Satyam. That Satyam is you. And that consciousness is you. Panchavidham deham vina tada etat pashyanti keva bhuvanam. So two rhetorical questions as though one is not enough. So tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Without this body mind sense complex, is the world perceived subjectively or objectively, doesn't matter, but is the world, can the world be an object of perception without this? No, that is the answer. That's why it's a rhetorical question. Then deham panchavidham deham vina, without this fivefold body mind sense complex, buddhi ahankara manaha chittam etc, tada etat pashyanti keva bhuvanam bhanantu means, may you speak if you know the answer. I dare you to speak that without this body mind sense complex, is there even a world that can be recognized? Who can recognize this world? Who can recognize this world? So, in other words, Jagat Grahanam Dehadhinam. Dehadhinam Jagat Grahanam. Adhinam means dependent upon the body mind sense complex. Is Jagat Grahanam, is the grasping of the Jagat, is the process of objectifying the Jagat, is based on this body mind sense complex. So then, etad vina, etad shariram deham vina, keva bhuvanam pashyanti bhanantu. The answer is, who can see this world? If I dare you to speak. And that means what? It's a rhetorical question. And the Bhashyakara says, Shariram vina na kepi bhuvanam grinnanti iti viditam etat sarvesham bhanitam. He seems to be very optimistic. He says, everybody knows that without the body, mind, sense complex, no world can be cognized. Well, everybody doesn't know that, but he is very optimistic. And then uh, the very, very wonderful here. Sharire, bhuvanadhine sharire. In a body mind sense complex, भुवनाधीने सति शरीरबद्धस्य विषयिणः शरीरात्म अभिमानवतः शरीरबन्धम् अन्तरा विषयित्वं न सिद्ध्यति असति शरीरबन्धे विषयित् विषयित्व विषयित्व स्यात् सिद्धेः कस्य गोचरः स्यात् भुवन भुवनाकारः विषयः. Without the body mind sense complex, to whom indeed does the world become evident? He asked this first question. To whom does this world become evident? And Vishayinah, for the person who is bound in the body mind sense complex. Because now that is why the whole Panchakoshatmakam argument was given. For the person, the Purusha, the Atma, that is, as it were, bound by the body mind sense complex. Who is that? Vishayin. Vishayin means the one who relates to all the objects. Sharira Atma Abhimanavataha. The one who has identified with the body as Atma. Sharirabandham antara vishayitvam eva na siddhyati. So without this body mind sense complex, no perception, no impressions, no subjectivity, nothing takes place. Asati Sharira Bandhe, if the body mind sense complex identification were not there, then to whom would the world become evident? Nobody. This is a very, drastic, what's that, postulate. It is something to be understood. The dependency of the world to the relationship of the I and the Jagat is being delineated here without any kind of so that all, what is that called, doubts go away. That dependency of the world on the I is highlighted. Only the I, and it's not the I as Satchidananda Atma, but it's the I as the indweller of the body mind sense complex, blessed with senses, blessed with mind to make conjectures, blessed with eyes, ears, means of knowledge, etc. And backed by Atma. That Atma is blessing this body mind sense complex to be and empowering it to cognize the whole universe. The universe is as good as not there if the cognizer is not there. Just like what I said earlier, can the sound be called a sound without the hearer? Without a pair of live ears, can the sound be called a sound? Is the sound a sound? And so here, this dependent relationship must be understood, meaning there is nothing unlike you. You have the power to cognize yourself. You are self cognized and you cognize everything else. Everything comes to light in your presence. And so there is nothing like you. There is nothing unlike you. You're the only thing that there is. And this is what has to be known, not anything else. This relationship between you and the world is what? Is one of is one of a dependent reality. A dependent reality which is which is dependent upon you for its existence. You lend your existence to all the things that are there. Blessed by that light of consciousness, things come to light, things are cognized. This is what we have to see and understand. Then, what else is left? Did we leave anything here? All the words we have seen. Yeah, two rhetorical questions we have seen. शब्दादिरूपं भुवनं समस्तं शब्दादिसत्तेन्द्रियवृत्तिभास्या सत्येन्द्रियाणां मनसो वशे स्यात् मनोमयं तद्भुवनं वदामः शब्दादिरूपं भुवनं समस्तं शब्दादिसत्तेन्द्रियवृत्तिभास्या सत्तेन्द्रियाणां मनसो वशे स्यात् मनोमयं तद्भुवनं वदामः. This huge universe, Ishvara Srishti, and then the universe that is within my purview, my own universe, my people, my things, my house, my mistakes, my accomplishments, my fears, all this constitute what? My universe. And what is the difference between the universe and my universe? The universe is Ishvara Srishti. My universe is Jiva Srishti. That is what it is. My universe. I have made this into whatever I want, and this is how I interact with people. These are my people. These are not my people. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is how I flow. This is where I go. This is my universe. These are the people I avoid. These are the people I I consort with. These are the people who have my back. I trust. These are the people I absolutely do not like and therefore distrust. These are the people that are okay. These are the people, sometimes they are okay, sometimes you never know, they go off. And so I have to be wary of them. These are the things that I absolutely love. And all the about from in connection to all the things that I absolutely love, half of them don't agree with me, even though I agree with them. This is life. Half of them don't agree. Half of the vegetables I can't eat. Half of the things I can't do. And so this is what is that? This is my universe. My universe. And so this is the um, this is the what is that? Jiva Srishti. Jiva Srishti, my universe. And then what is Ishvara Srishti? Ishvara Srishti is Bhagavan's universe, where there is no place for mine, yours, his, hers, nothing, nothing at all. Where things simply are. That is the universe. And so, why are we talking about this? Because that's what is needed to introduce the next verse. Samastam bhuvanam. Bhuvanam, universe. Samastam, the entire universe is what? Shabdadi Rupam, is in the form of sound, sight, sound that which is heard, sight that which is seen, smells that are picked up, and then things that are touched which have texture, and then things that are tasted. Last but not the least, yeah, that's very important. Sense of taste. So your five jnanendriyas. Jnanendriyas means what? What is jnanendriyas? Sense organs. Sense. Yeah. Your jnanendriyas constitute the your flashlight that objectifies things in the world. So here is a flashlight coming out of the eyes, and anything that has form, it casts a light, brings things to light. In fact, the eyes look like a pair of flashlights. And then the ears are a different kind of torch, flashlight. Cognize sound. This is violin. No, 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 this is mandolin. Here also some discernment must be there. Otherwise, for someone who is not discerning, all sounds sound the same. But for some discernment which is there, if you have, then you can cognize various sounds. The whole scale of the music, Hindustani music or even Carnatic music, the entire scale of the 7 notes, they have different names and the different pitches, and then there are ornate notes in between. Many ornate notes sometimes, very difficult. And ga 1, ga 2, ga 3, and we don't even know the first ga, let alone the other two. It's very difficult. And so all these notes you try to catch, you try to reproduce. Catching is hard enough. Reproducing them is even much harder, not easy. And then you find that the first note, sa, is a kind of a informal is a nickname for its official name, Shadja. It's called Shadja. The first one is called Shadja. Shatswaraha jayante yasmat, from which all 6 swaras have come. So for the ear that is musical and discerning, even in the singing of one sa, all the 6 you're supposed to hear. All the other 6 notes you're supposed to hear. So this whole world of sound, whether it's musical sound or sight, colors, forms, smells, chocolate cake, pakodas, whatever you like, all the wonderful fragrances, or if you are not into food, flowers, anything, all this. Taste, you blindfold somebody and feed them something. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think I know. It's on the tip of my tongue. Yes, of course, I put it there. It's already on the tip of your tongue. No, I mean, I know what I'm tasting. Can I just look? Oh, yeah, it is a peach. This is how it is, you know. So the tongue is for the discerning tongue. And there are certain ways you have to cultivate the tongue. If you want to be in Assam, if you want to go where they grow tea, Assam tea is very famous. So you go there and you want a wonderful job. Let's say you want to be a tea taster. First, they send you to detox. First, they send you to just eat a bland diet for 6 months. Nothing spicy, nothing sweet, nothing salty, just bland diet. And they tell you what, nothing that has a lot of smell, onion, garlic, etc. No, non-veg, forget it. And then you have to cultivate this palate. And then what happens? Then you present yourself, and then you just all that you do is stand and sip teas, and then you make some gradations. This is how much it should cost. This is the first pick. There is this first pick of tea. It's called white tea because it looks just like water, but it costs much more than water. Okay, yeah, it looks like water. That's all. And so this first pick, you just put it in, and then you take it out, and then you have this white tea. Then the darker it is, the darker it gets. That means the stem and everything else is involved. So the tips of the leaves, they make a different kind of tea. So if you want to be a tea taster, you have to be extremely discerning between grade 00 and grade 000. How are you going to do this? If we went there and we would just we would get a big zero. Okay. Yeah. This is all, this is all various things. This is the way the whole, imagine the whole tea industry is based on a few tongues. That's all. Think about it. This, I find this fascinating. The entire tea industry in China, in Japan, in India, and wherever else tea is grown, it's based on a few, maybe 100 tasters, let's say, let's be generous, few thousand tasters all over the world. It's based on these few people who are going, that's what they do. you know Same thing with wine, I hear. You have to have a very discerning palate. I don't know anything about wine. I know much more about tea. So this is what, so this is how it is. So based on a few ability to taste, a few people's ability to taste, the entire tea industry, from the most expensive to the Janata tea. What is Janata tea? Janata tea means, this is the common person's tea. What is common person's tea? It's called tea dust. Tea dust means after everything is harvested, what is left on the floor of the harvesting thing, that is swept up in special brooms, and then that is put through some kind of a machine to roll it up, because otherwise if it's dusty and somebody opens it, they will start sneezing. So fine dust. So they put some kind of a edible gum or something like that to roll it up into little things. And then this is tea dust, the cheapest. From tea dust, the cheapest kind of tea available, to that which makes your paycheck into dust, that kind of a tea. This whole range is dependent upon a few tongues, a few discerning tongues. Think about it. I just find this fascinating. And all this for what? Shabdadi Rupam Bhuvanam Samastam. So Samastam Bhuvanam. So two facts are given here in the first two lines. Samastam Bhuvanam, the entire universe of names, forms, tastes, what else? So many other impressions of all the sense organs are, they are all in the form of sense impressions, sense objects. And then Shabdadi Satta Indriya Vritti Bhasya. The satta, the existence of sound, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Satta means existence. The existence of all these are what? Dependent upon the Indriya Vritti. What is Indriya Vritti? The awareness of that taste, the awareness of all the all the sounds, the awareness of sight, the awareness of what else? You get the idea. Sight, smell, touch, taste, sound, etc. Shabdadi satta, Shabdadinam gunanam satta, Sthitihi indriya vritti bhasya. Means Shrodradin indriyanam vrittibhihi vyaparaihi bhasya prakashya bhavati. They come to light. Bhasya means worthy of being brought to light. So these sense objects become worthy of being brought to light because of the presence of the sense organs. No sense organs, no sense objects. That's all. No sense organs, no sense objects. So, in relation to the sense organs, the sense objects are dependent upon those sense organs. Very, very fascinating. And then, then prakashya means these, the indriya vritti. Indriya vritti means indriya vyaparaihi. Vyapara means through the use, the transaction of the sense organs, the sense objects come to light. Then satta indriyanam manasaha vashe syat. Now, a small question here. What is the question? Are the sense organs independent actors? Say no, so we can move on. Yeah. So, no. Why? Because we need to move on. Okay. So, no. Why are they not independent actors? Hmm?
Manas has to be there.
They depend on the mind.
Yeah, because you can hear, but then that whatever you heard is not registered. That's what happens to teenagers. You keep at home, you keep calling out to them. They don't hear. And then the parents say, "Are you deaf?" They're not deaf. They're fine. They can hear, but the mind is elsewhere. The mind is not present. And if the mind is not present, then the sound is as good as not heard. So, in the Kathopanishad, we have this elaborate allegory called Ratha Kalpana, chariot allegory, chariot narrative, metaphor. And what is this chariot allegory? Here, the body is imagined to be a chariot. Consider the body to be a chariot. Atmanam rathinam vidhi. Atmanam, Atma here is not Atma. Okay, Atma means this body, mind, sense complex. This body is a chariot, and the one who is Rathaswami, the one who is the owner of the chariot, is the Atma endowed with this, the mind, etc. This I, the I sense, the Ahankara is the owner of the chariot. Body is the chariot. And the horses, the 5 horses are the sense organs because they like to graze in the world of sense objects, the grasses of the sense objects. Then what? Then we have the manaha, the mind. As I told you yesterday or day before, I forget. The mind is a first, it's the first level of shallow thinking is called mind. So the mind is the first restraining influence and the driving influence for the sense organs. Atmanam rathinam vidhi, shariram rathamev tu, buddhim tu sarathim vidhi, manav pragraham cha. Pragraham, reins. The mind is the reins. Indriyani hayanyahuhu, vishayamsteshu gocharan. And this body mind sense complex, endowed with the, with the mind, etc., sense organs, etc., is called bhokta iti ahu manishinah. The sages call this ready to consume with all the sense organs, saying, give me, give me, give me. I want one more experience. I want to have this. No, it's not enough that I don't have this. I want to have that. One last time before I really, 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 make up my mind to study Vedanta. One last holiday. One last something. One last foray into the world of sense objects. Please, let's do this. And so this is the bhokta, the one who is ever ready to consume. Because really, bhokta is the one. Why not? Why doesn't the Upanishad say karta? Because the Upanishad is cleverer than we are. Because we keep saying karta, bhokta, karta, karta. But really, karta is not important, because if you ask any karta, doer, why are you doing this? They will say, in order to get something that I want. In order to be a bhokta, one does karma. One does action in order to enjoy something, the results of action. Bhogaya karma karoti. Karma phalam bhungte. Then eats up the karma phala. And when the karma phala is finished, the results of action are done, then wants to do more karma. More karma, more karma. That's what it is. You ask anybody, why do you go to work 5 days a week? So that I can have the weekend. Why do you go to work the whole year? So I can have 15 days holiday. Why do you work your whole life? So I can retire. Oh, and study Vedanta? No, actually, I thought I'd travel around the world. So, this is what it is. One is a quintessential consumer. Upanishad knows this. Bhokta iti ahu manishinah. And it looks like Maharshi here is channeling is aware of the Kathopanishad and is going in tandem along with it. Satta Indriyanam satta manasaha vashe. The mind is there. Mind is holding the reins of the sense organs. The sense organs are not independent actors. And if the sense organs are not independent actors, the mind here is there to say, yes, you can fulfill this desire. No, 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 this is not a proper desire for you to fulfill. Why? Because, as Pujya Swamiji used to say, everything that you like is either illegal, immoral, or fattening. Okay, that's why you can't have anything you like. And so therefore, that's why the discernment is needed. So satta indriyanam satta manasaha vashe syat. Therefore, what do we say? Manomayam tad bhuvanam vadamaha. So therefore, we say this whole universe is manomaya. Manomaya means it's as good as what you think about it. It's as good as what you think. The world is as your world. Is your world to which you relate is as good as what you think about it. In other words, you have conjured up a subjective world of thoughts, impressions, etc., of everything that you encounter. This is not a good place to leave the thing. So, what to do now? That's why we'll see. We are having one more class tomorrow. We'll see it then. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you.
Swamiji, I have a question.
Yeah, tell me question.
About witness consciousness. If you could explain that a little bit more. Is that what is Sakshi?
Witness,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sakshi is witness consciousness. The consciousness that right now I am the witness, not the participant of what I am observing. So the consciousness of myself being an observer, that is witness consciousness. And witness consciousness is there as long as there is something to relate to. When you're not relating to anything, then there is just consciousness. Witness is a status that is imposed, superimposed as it were upon that consciousness, but that witness status is closest to consciousness. So that first we get into the witness consciousness, and then you are able to drop that as well.
Okay,
Because
thank you.
otherwise, if you're stuck with witness consciousness, then what will happen? Then if there is nothing to witness, then you feel like you're non-existent. Yeah.
Yes,
Hope
all right.
that made sense.
Yes, Mamnichi, because there's still duality in that witness and witnessing, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is
Mhm.
duality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
And so for the jnani may be witnessing, but as though witnessing. So
Mhm.
even though the jnani is in the universe doing things and interacting with people, even tasting tea, still it is not in that indriya vyapara. She or he knows that they are not, they are not identified with that. All that is, it's like how the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Dhyayati iva, Lelayati iva. Now I meditate. Oh, I'm in samadhi. As soon as you say that, there is no more samadhi. Then one feels bad. Oh no, I have lost the meditation. I'm no longer absorbed. So the Upanishad says, when you're meditating, when you are the meditator, you're as though meditating. And when you're distracted, you're as though distracted. There is no distraction, there is no absorption. Okay.